So a few weeks ago, I really wasn't in a good place mentally. I was feeling stupidly overwhelmed. I was really struggling to know how to navigate forward. I was kind of questioning myself, questioning the business, questioning what I was doing with everything, questioning a lot. And I felt ridiculously overwhelmed to the point where I wasn't being able to show up on social media. I was having to take a break from everything. Everything felt so much. I was so overwhelmed. And whenever I feel like that, I kind of just withdraw. And today I kind of want to sit down and take you through the actionable steps that I took in order to get myself out of that headspace and into a much more positive frame of mind. Because I honestly think the last the last 4 or 5 days, I've completely almost shifted my mindset. And I feel like I'm in such a better place. And everything I did and everything I implemented in order to get myself out of that headspace I was in is super actionable. And to be honest, it just came down to a very few basic things that I did just to shift my energy and put myself in a much better headspace. So the first thing I would suggest to get yourself out of a rut, it depends on obviously who you are as a person, but I, as I said, took some very simple but really effective steps. And the first thing I did is I actually ordered myself a daily planner. And when it turned up, I didn't know what to expect. I've tried all different types of organisation planner things in the past. I have an iPad Pro, so I'd always downloaded one on there, but I was really struggling. I just couldn't, I'm not a digital person. I really like, I guess it's the artist in me, but I really like pen to paper. So I ordered myself just a daily planner. This one was personal, you could personalise it, so I changed the font, I changed the colour of it, and I put my name on it and schedule right down at the bottom. And this just allows me to, there's lots of different sections in it, but it allows me each day to really break down my day. And not only does it allow me to break down each day, but it also gives me space to really sort of brain dump. And because effectively what I was sort of doing before is anytime I had an idea, I'd just write down in a notepad. But what I was finding is I had so many different notepads around and different journals and things like that I would I'd write it down and just forget about it, because it just, I'd turn the page and write something else down, and it was never consistent and it was never in an organised way. Whereas obviously doing it in a daily planner, I write stuff down the night before in order for me to know what to do the next day. And then I can still keep all my notebooks and stuff like that for just brain dumping or brainstorming or different ideas. But the things that go in the planner is actually things that I have to do on a day-to-day basis to keep the business going, to keep myself going. And that has been so life-changing. So the first thing that I started to do was to brain dump the night before anything that was on my mind or anything that I kind of had to do for the business. Because again, when you're a creative business owner, a lot of us wear a lot of different hats. So, we do our marketing, we do our admin, we do our social media, we do our content creation, we do the actual artwork, we do so much, and it can be really overwhelming when you've got orders to package, when you've got things happening all the time, you've got emails coming in, you offer different services, different products, you've got different clients. It can be so much. And it's so easy sometimes to get an email that's come through and just almost completely forget about it. You'll get an email come through and you'll look at it and go, yep, I'll get back to that later. And you completely forget. Whereas now, anytime that happens, I've always got that daily planner next to me, so I can literally just write down in the little note section. And then the next day, I know exactly what I need to do that day. Not only is that a really good way of me staying organised and keeping productive and just on top of everything on the business, but it also allows me, and that planner has got a section for almost time blocking, which is my next little hack to stay productive and get out of a rut. Because one of the things that I was finding on a day-to-day basis is each day would come by and go past, and I'd get to the end of each day and kind of go, what have I done today? Because even though I was working, it didn't feel like I was actually being that productive, because I kind of have a lot of freedom within this business, which is great, but you can kind of procrastinate, you can kind of become a little bit lazy. And also, I find personally, if I don't break my day up and do different tasks at different times, if I give myself the whole day to do some filming, I'll probably spend a few hours here doing some filming, and then I'll scroll on social media, and then I'll sort of get bored and take Charlie for a walk, or, do whatever. Whereas by time blocking, I'm literally breaking my day from 6 a.m. when I wake up in the morning to the last thing at 9 o'clock at night. I know pretty much every single hour. Again, it's very, very organised, but this is exactly how I got myself out of just being like a mess almost within the business, to really feeling like I've been the most productive that I have ever possibly been in the past week. So each hour, as I said, from the moment I wake up in the morning to when I go to bed, each hour is pretty much blocked out, and I know exactly what I'm doing. And not only that, I can kind of set time limits for each task. So I can say, right, the house is a bit messy, I'm going to give myself an hour. I've got between 9 and 10 o'clock in the morning to do an hour of housework to see how much I can get done in that hour. Rather than just thinking, okay, well, I've got some admin to do today, I've got some packaging to do, and you write down a whole list of things that you need to do, but you kind of meander through the day going, I can do this, and maybe I should do that. Whereas for me, if I time block, I know exactly what I'm doing, when I'm stopping that task, and when I can move on to the next thing. And it has made me so much more productive. Another little hack and tip that I use daily, and again, the planner has been really great for that, because it gives me a section each day to put, it's almost like a to-do list, and then at the top it's got the top 3 tasks for that day. So I can write down everything in that to-do list that I have to do, but then I can almost like categorize it into 3 different columns in my head or on a bit of paper. And so I can put down the most important tasks I have to get done that day, and then sort of like the important tasks, but they don't have to be done right now, and then just the things that are sort of floating around my mind, like ideas, content ideas that are important but they can wait. And by breaking down tasks into those categories, again, it gives you such a good feel and perspective on priority, because ultimately when we feel overwhelmed, it can be really, really easy to brain dump everything and just feel like, oh my god, I've got so much to do. Whereas if you are effectively breaking your day up, really creating routine around your day and creating structure with what you do, and then prioritizing your task into different sections and to different categories, all of a sudden you feel like, you genuinely feel like you've got your shit together, and you're handling life so much better than what you were before. So I mentioned in that first part about routine and how that planner has given me almost like a structure for each day. But I think it's really, really important to touch on routines in general. So I know a lot of business coaches and a lot of people always like harp on all the time about having a really, really effective morning routine. And I completely agree with them, because it's, again, so easy when you work for yourself and you work from home to kind of get up, roll out of bed, get up, and be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna roll into my workstation and start a bit of work. And you kind of miss that section, that part of the morning that you can really allow yourself to ease into the day. So it's really, really easy to kind of become a little bit lazy when you work for yourself and you work from home, and it can be really, really easy to kind of think, oh well, I can't really, because of the lighting, I can't really start drawing until about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, so I'll get up at like 7:45, and then I can just like have a cup of tea, have some biscuits almost, and just crack on with the day. And I did that for a long time, and let me tell you, it's rubbish. You feel like you're being productive at the time, but I look back at that and I think I could have done so much more, and I could have been so much more organised and productive. And ultimately, yes, when you do love the job that you do, it does make it a lot easier to get out of bed and go straight into work. However, if you're not prioritizing yourself, then you are potentially missing out on so much because you aren't prioritizing your health. And that for me has been so life changing, again, to get myself out of the rut. So I started getting up earlier, so I'm getting up at 6 at the moment, and I allow myself 3 hours in the morning to really just do whatever I want. So I can get up at 6, I make sure my bed is made, I make sure my room is hoovered because Charlie drops a lot of hair everywhere. So I really, my bedroom is like immaculate, and then I will leave and go downstairs. And in those 3 hours, I can make sure that I've had all my supplements, I've had a lot of water, I've had my coffee because I absolutely love my morning coffee. It's one of the highlights of my day. So I implement little things that I really look forward to each morning that I do for me. I take Charlie for a walk, I have a shower, I make sure that I've looked after myself first, and then I'll be ready to go to work and I'm ready to open the door to this room and come in and start on the business. Now, obviously it's hard because we often check our phones in the morning and a lot of us run our businesses on our phones. But again, I try and limit my social media time, and I start looking at social media about 8:30, 9 o'clock, once I have done everything that I need to do for myself. And allocating myself those 3 hours in the morning has been really good for my mental health. Now, I know I'm in a fortunate position that I don't have sort of anyone dictating to me what I have to do in the morning, whether it's like a husband or children or, you know, whatever it is. I don't have, you know, any demands on my time. I can be very selfish with my time, and I realise I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very lucky to be in that position. But if you have got priorities and you have got things that you need to be doing in the morning, just try and make sure that you are taking time for you to actually do things that you enjoy in the morning. Because again, it would just put you in a much more positive headspace when you've taken some time for yourself, even if it's just sitting down and putting a bit of makeup on, or just, you know, going for a short 10-15 minute walk and listen to a podcast. Whatever makes you feel good, just try and implement one thing into your morning routine that will really just put you in a better headspace. So the next little sort of hack or tip that I have that helped me get out of the rut I was in was I started to prepare my whole entire life. So whether that was like on a day-to-day basis with my daily planner, but I also started to implement preparation into the meals I was eating. One thing I don't really talk about that much on my social media channels is how I train. I'm in the gym pretty much about 5-6 days a week, and then I box about 2-3 times a week on top of that, and I do various other things as well. So my fitness is a real priority to me, and again, it can be really easy to slip into the habit where we're not prioritizing our health and our wellness and our nutrition and everything we need to be doing like that in order for us to stay as mentally well and physically well as we possibly can. So for me, meal prep is so key. I tend to prep my lunch and my dinners each day. And again, I live on my own, so I have the flexibility to be able to batch cook at the start of the week. But effectively, if you had a family or you had a partner, you could easily do this as well. So I can just do a food shop on a Sunday and pretty much know what I'm eating during the week, because I spend 2 hours on a Sunday evening and just prep for the week. And honestly, again, it has been so good. And if you don't have time to meal prep, the other thing I would suggest is literally just having an idea of what you're going to be eating each day, just to make sure that you are really prioritizing your health and your nutrition and your diet. Because as I said, it can be really easy to roll out of bed, grab a cereal bar, grab a really high sugary thing, and again, it's not really going to be that beneficial to you when you're trying to maintain a healthy diet and health and wellness whilst running a business. So again, in the mornings, the only sort of meal I don't really prep for is my breakfast, because again, it depends on when I'm training, it depends on my routine and my structure for that day. But I will always try and have a really balanced breakfast, whether that's like sourdough with eggs and avocado. So I'm trying to prioritize getting some healthy fats in, some carbs, and some protein, and as long as I hit that, then I'm pretty much okay. So that's oats and almond butter and some protein powder, you know, whatever it may be. But I always try and have like a really well balanced breakfast, because again, it balances your blood sugars, and then again, you just keep on a much more stable level throughout the day. You don't have these extreme highs and lows of like sugar crash and then peaks and troughs and everything like that. But obviously, because I do train, I do have to be quite careful with my nutrition and what I eat and things like that. So it might not be for everyone, but that's one thing just that's helped me again feel more stable in both my emotions and my moods, because I'm not having the extreme sugar spikes that I was getting when I was just binge eating. Because that's what I tend to do when I'm in a bad place. I just consume whatever is I can get my hands on it, and that's really not good for me, because my skin flares up, I get really stressed, I have severe eczema breakouts, and it's just not good. So this for me is really key. Also, I know everyone will always talk about it, but hydration, 2 to 3 litres of water a day. For me, I don't consume that much dairy because I don't feel like it does my skin any good. So I try and have like I have like a matcha, a tea, a coffee, you know, herbal teas and things like that as well. But try and drink at least like 2 litres of water a day. Again, it just helps your brain function so much. Another thing when it comes to preparation is prepare to have time off. And I'll come on to work-life balance a bit later on, but prepare when you're going to take time off, or just have a goal or an idea in mind that you're going to want to take at least like a morning off to just do something that you enjoy for that week. Because again, when you're running a business, it can be really easy just to slide into this cycle where you're just working because you feel like you have to work all the time and you're not taking that time for you. This whole thing is making sure that you're kind of balancing yourself and your health, because if you don't have your health and your wellness and everything like that, then you're really going to struggle not to feel crap within the business. And the other thing I would say, which kind of leads into nutrition and time off, and obviously I've spoken about it now just then, but workouts, whether you're into the gym or whether you're not into the gym, or whether you enjoy cycling, horse riding, whatever it may be, prioritize that as just part of your time off, part of your downtime. Try and find something that you enjoy. I'm not saying go to the gym for 3 hours a day. I'm not saying go and do an hour of boxing. I'm not saying anything like that, but find something that you enjoy, even if it's like a 15-minute walk out in nature. Just go and get some like sun on your face, and honestly, it will make such a difference. I've been in the gym on and off for years and years now, but I recently started boxing again, and that has changed my headspace so much. I can be in a really negative mood, something could have happened, it put me in such a bad headspace, and I've got a boxing coach who's also luckily my neighbour, so I can literally text him and be like, are you free? And he'll be like, yeah, what's wrong? And we can just have a quick sort of like half hour. He'll just let me punch the pads for a while, and honestly, it has just been so good for my headspace. Just to let out whatever I'm feeling, whatever emotion, and sometimes all you need to do is just like a 10-minute or 20-minute HIIT workout, or go for a brisk walk, or just get outside and fresh air, and I promise you it'll make a difference. But make sure that you are prioritising that daily or as often as you can into your weekly schedule, because again, that is so important. I know I just mentioned about work-life balance, and that was sort of touching on work-life balance, but I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about making sure you have really good work-life balance, because again, it can be so easy when you work for yourself or you work alone and you live alone, like when I do, and you can kind of think, I have to be working all the time. I'm in this house, I feel like I have to be working, or I should be working, because you know, what else am I going to be doing? But that's what leads to burnout, because you literally cannot do everything on your own. So when it comes to burnout, it can be really difficult to come back from that. So I think you kind of need to be aware of different signs, and that your body and your headspace is showing you of when you feeling like you're burning out. And it's hard because we live in a culture and a society now that it's all so like hustle mentality. Like you always need to be on the go, you always need to be doing something, being productive, being motivational, doing this, doing that, living and trying to hit the next goal. But it can be really, really overwhelming. So again, if you get a better handle on your life outside of the business and a better handle on your life within the business, then you can have a better segregation between the two. So you can really go, right, no, this isn't my work time, this is my home time, this is my time for me, and really nurture yourself within that time. So when you do and you are at work, you can absolutely smash the hours you're going to put in instead of just like meandering through and then taking a bit of time off here and there. So for me, again, with time blocking, it's allowed me really, really to have very set hours that I am working. And again, I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it can be really hard when we have got all our social media content on our phone and we are forever on our phones. And what I would say to that, and something that again I implemented, because again when you're in a rut, it can be really, really difficult when you go on social media and you're scrolling and you just see all this stuff bombarding you of people's success and people doing well, and you should it's in some ways it can be motivating. Well, I personally, it depends what mood I'm in. It can either really inspire me and motivate me, or it just make me feel like crap. So you just need to almost be aware of what mood you're in, whether you can actually consume that content and whether it's going to be good for your headspace, because it's really easy to feel overwhelmed and doom scroll and then not be productive at all. So I think just try and become more aware of those triggers and how you're actually feeling and what is going to be beneficial for you in that moment. So for me now, I've allocated social media time, I've allocated email time. Again, it comes down to my time blocking. I literally have an hour that I would do admin for in the morning, and I will sort of write down about 4 p.m. I'll play social media, check social media, and I'll give myself 10-15 minutes. Don't get me wrong, I'll still be posting to my stories, I'll still be doing things during the day if I feel I need to, but I'm not going to be a slave to social media or my phone, because again, you end up losing your life through watching other people's lives. And I sat there when I was in the rut and just gone, what am I doing? Like I'm almost like fixated on everyone and what everyone else is doing, and I'm really not prioritizing myself and what do I want, rather than just consuming what everyone else wants. So another thing that's really, really, really important is to be aware of who you're spending your time with. So spend time with really, really positive energy people. They always say that you are a product of the people you spend your time with. So I think it's like the top 5 people you spend your time around. You are a product of them. So if they are quite negative, then it can often have an impact on the way you see yourself, on what you want to do, because you're kind of listening to what they say and what they think and how they behave. And again, you kind of lose your own identity within that time. So just be aware of the people who you're spending your time with. I'm not saying cut out everyone who's negative. I'm not going to say block people who are going to drag you down, but just limit how much access they have to you, and just be really aware of who you feel great around and who you don't feel so great around. And try and spend as much time with the people who are almost like, my friend says it to me all the time. She says, you've got 2 people in this world. You've got radiators and you've got drains. So you've got people who are just like warm rays of sunshine, and you've got people who drain your energy. And she's like, you need to be surrounding yourself with people who are radiators more than drains. And I love that. And I think that is, really, really good advice. And I know I touched on it before, but it was the last point that I wrote down, is really prioritize your health and fitness. And again, it doesn't mean you have to go out and run 10k, or you have to go out and do a marathon, or whatever it may be, but just make sure that you are prioritizing your own health, and you're getting outside and just doing a little bit of some sort of workout to really release those endorphins, do what makes you feel good, find things that make you really happy and things that you're passionate about. Because honestly, even as I said, even if it's just gonna go and sit in the garden and drink a cup of tea and read a book, that is just gonna change so much. And if you're so used to being just in this hustle culture and mentality and running around and not feeling like you got your shit together. So I will link the planner. It's not sponsored or anything like that. That's why I haven't really told you anything about it. But if you are interested in looking a little or ordering something like that, I'll drop the link below where I ordered mine from. And yeah, I think I've covered everything I wanted to say. Those are the things that I have done that have honestly helped me turn my life around. I would say the biggest things for me have been that planner has honestly changed my life, because I just feel so much more organised. And it's just helped me so much, just gain a better perspective on things, and also it's helped me create that work-life balance. So that has been like the key thing. And again, when you feel like you've got so much more of a better handle on things, then you tend to be in a much more positive place anyway. You don't feel so burnt out, you don't feel so overwhelmed. And also, as I said, make sure you are filling your own cup first before you're filling other people's. I know it's hard, you've got children and things like that, but like that's why I said just try and get up 10-15 minutes early and just sit there peaceful and drink your coffee, journal some thoughts, journal what you want to do for that day, some priorities for that day, and just make sure that you just try and keep the promises you keep to yourself, because again that will then start to build trust, and when you start to trust yourself you start to feel better about so much more. So I really hope this is helpful. I know it's been a bit like rambly, but it was really, I felt like I really wanted to sit down and film this, and because honestly I know how crap it can be to feel so low, and if I can just help one person with some of these tips, then that will just make my entire day. So I really hope you found this useful. As always, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always after new video suggestion ideas, so if there's anything you want to see, whether it's to do with the drawing, whether it's to do with mindset, positivity, business, whatever it may be, just let me know. And I really hope you're doing really well, and I'm wishing you lots of love and positivity. See you later.